Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension. Hope you are doing beautifully. And I'm back again on YouTube and on the podcast, Portal to Ascension Radio. You can check it out on all the podcast platforms. And here we are on YouTube. And if you have noticed, if you have not noticed, I have been going live quite often for the last few weeks. And it feels good because I went kind of on a hiatus from going live for quite a few months because I've been traveling and coming back because we have some amazing things coming up at Portal to Ascension this year, whether it's the Galactic Origins Cruise, all of our online events, but and our major conference as well, and our major conference. Normally we do it in San Diego. We were doing it in San Diego, but last year we did it in Glastonbury, and we're going live with some of our speakers from the Glastonbury conference over the next month, and we've been doing that over the last month or so, and you can check them out on our YouTube podcast. And this event, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the trailer and then we'll speak about it a bit. I'll show you the website. But this event is going to be incredible. It's in Glastonbury, England. I'm not sure if any of you guys have, you've probably seen some streams where we spoke about it. But if you're not familiar with Glastonbury and the energies there are so many overlapping energies and frequencies off that area, whether it has a story to ancient Christianity, the Druids, Yeshua's family and uncle being there, the ley lines, the divine feminine energy. So us doing this event there is kind of like what I love to say is it's a conference, it's a retreat, it's grid work, it's an activation. It's truly powerful, and I'll show you who's going to be there in a moment. But let's go ahead and just start out with the trailer and let you guys see kind of what we're going to be experiencing. So let's see if I can pull it up. Still playing in the background. Okay, calm. So that's our conference in Glastonbury. Let me go and show you the website. And we have this is actually an annual one there, and I'm hoping to keep it going really in Glastonbury because it's just such a fun and powerful event. Just being there in the energies, and it's again, like I said, it's not just like us coming together for this conference. It's truly like an experience. It's a destination event, and the website is ascensionglastonbury.com. There you go. If you come early on the 26th, we're going to start out by going up. We're going to be hiking up this, and right in the back of this banner here, you can see there's the tour, which is like the central point of Glastonbury. And we're going to be going up there and starting on Thursday with a meditation and kind of what we did, well, the same thing we did last year in a different way, where we paid reverence to the land, the energies, the spirits of the land, and the antiquity of all that has come there, setting the intention and opening up the ceremony for the conference. And today's guest, Zoe Davenport, she was a part of the opening ceremony that last year, and she'll be also a part of that again today. And you can see here some of the speakers: Laura Eisenhower, Tim Tactics, Magenta Pixie, Adam Apollo, Maria Wheatley, Nana Kasha, Oliver Huntley, and many more. And then, of course, today's guest, my good friend Zoe Davenport. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Zoe. You've probably seen her on Portal to Ascension a couple of times, and then we're going to get into today's interview. So Zoe Davenport is a divine oracle, modern mystic, dedicated to being a catalyst to connecting others to their highest potentials, truths, and wisdom within. Through speaking, writing, and connecting with both groups and individuals one on one, she has assisted many in unveiling their deeper purpose and soul callings. As an adept seer of the infinite field of quantum existence and higher planes of dimensional frequencies, Zoe has embodied the mastery of recognizing the highest potentials that exist within an individual. She guides others in creating a fluid plan on how to ground these potentials and dreams into the present day reality. Part of this journey includes applying tools and methods to assist in releasing outdated programs, constructs, patterns of control, attachment, and expectation. The deep transformational path together with Zoe will allow one to embody sovereignty and purpose through all encompassing dive into the physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies. And Zoe, I'm happy to say, is a really good friend of mine. And not only is she doing this for others, but because I'm a good friend with hers, I get to experience this in co-working situations where we're hanging out together. And she's really assisted me in my life and has grown to become someone that's very close to me. So I'm really happy to be having her on at the Glastonbury event, in the San Diego conference next year, and all types of other events, just showcasing her awareness, and providing a platform for her to really support more people. So everybody help me in welcoming my good friend Zoe. Hey Zoe.
Hi, so great to be here. Thank you so much,
Thank
Neil.
you for being
Intro.
here. Yes, good to see you. I would love for you to just start out, because I titled this Transmissions from Other Worlds, and you've spoke to me a few times about, like, the beings that you connect with, but I would love for you to start out with the journey of what actually occurred and how these messages started, like, and maybe that's even including the trust aspect, because I know a lot of people that receive downloads of messages, and it took a while for them to even realize what was occurring, because maybe they had to trust that they weren't just like crazy or hearing some sort of other thing, like, and actually knowing who these beings are and having a constant communication. So how did that process like work for you?
Yeah, so I'd say for me, honestly, it's been over a decade of practicing and mastering that connection to the divine that's a clear transmission without any kind of filtrations or distortions, because there's so many different frequencies that we can connect to, and sometimes we can connect to certain frequencies that may feel that it's an aligned message for us, or as you put it, like an aligned download, but it's sometimes operating from outdated contracts and aligned to kind of old karmic parts of self. So as we continue to up level our consciousness, we're able to hold more light. As we're able to hold more light, we're able to dissolve a lot more of these outdated kind of soul contracts. And so with that, the channels and the types of energies that we're channeling starts to shift out of awareness, and a much cleaner channel starts to come into place. And I always share that it starts with the heart, the opening of the heart, and it starts with the connection to the gut and opening up to that higher mind, and then working with those upper channels. So yeah. I can't hear you, Neil, because you've muted yourself.
There we go.
There
So
we go.
you mentioned more light, right? As we are able to hold more light, then that's kind of the process in where we can have more of a direct connection and communication. And how does that process look like? Like, are you talking about like eating well and doing all these things on the physical level that help your body be a better container to receive information?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the bare basics of, good nutrition, cleansing the body, getting adequate sleep, drinking good water, eliminating any kind of like overloading parts of information, like too much exposure to the media or certain types of conversation or the news. And then with that, it's also about setting aside, time every day to do the practice, to allow space to show up for this. I feel that there's so many people that want to have a better connection to their intuition. They want to have a better connection and relationship with their higher selves. They want to have a better relationship with different celestial and galactic beings. And it's the daily micro steps that we can take that has the long-term benefits and effects for us. Because I feel sometimes we get guided to go to these big things, we have these, you know, very euphoric experiences, and then we go back to our everyday life. And it's those micro steps that we can take every day that really helps to open up that channel.
Mm-hmm. When you started connecting with beings from other worlds, would you even say that's a good way to explain it? Like, who are you connecting with exactly? And were there like specific beings that first came and spoke to you or sent you a message?
Yeah, I first had a very specific guide, as you would call it, that I could see and I could hear, but I didn't necessarily know where they had come from. I just felt a deep, profound sense of love and a very clear presence with that being. And it actually wasn't until 10 years later that I was shown the whole connection of mine and that soul's experiences that we'd had together in different realms and different lives. Sometimes we're not necessarily always ready to receive everything right away. It takes some time and for the evolution of our soul in human form. And so as we go through these up levelings of our consciousness, we're able to have a deeper level of awareness and understanding. So that was kind of like the first being that came in, which was very profound and beautiful. And then different energies started to come in. And to be honest with you, Neil, I was very skeptical to start. Like, I don't just blindly trust any kind of being that comes in, even if they're presenting themselves as a light being. I always have a lot of discernment, and I've learned over the years, I've done specific trainings in channelings. I've done my own practices with making sure that when I'm connecting, one, that I'm not bringing that being into myself, that I'm making a clear connection. And I don't necessarily just take it as gospel. I sit with the information for a while to see how that feels within my being. Because I feel sometimes we're so ready to just give our power away to other energies. And as I was saying to you before, sometimes there's energies that are operating on old timelines. And so part of the discernment that we get to have when connecting in is not giving our power away, not blindly trusting everything that we've been told, sitting with thing, allowing it to digest and seeing if that still feels resonant and true for us, then there's probably something in that, and then knowing when the time is to take action. And I feel sometimes for me, I've spent the last decade helping a lot of people to deprogram things that they've been told that has kept them in a lot of fear, separation, and scarcity. And that's because they're receiving information from energies that aren't for their highest good, that are perhaps operating in these lower frequencies. And so, you know, my invitation to anyone wanting to open up more of their channeling abilities is to remember your own personal power and to allow that to come through. And also when you're receiving channeled information from others, feeling into where there perhaps might be a slight distortion, and also maybe a little bit of an ego filter of that own person's projection, because we can only connect in as well as we're able to understand our own sense of self connected to consciousness. So
Yeah, so that's my thing. Like when I first woke up to this information, very soon, within 2 years after being in history, I went straight into channeling and like 2002, 2003, for like 7, 8 years, I was into channeling, and then I started seeing that a lot of times there seemed to be a human filter in the way of the message, and the ego was involved there. And so I went away from channeling completely because I felt that every person's ego, no matter what, will get in the way. And even if it is in the way, how are you to know if that message is a pure message or if it's being translated from that individual's perspective and his ego, right? So how does one as a channel, I don't even know, because first of all, I'd love to know what you think of the ego, because some people say it's good and bad. Some people say it's just your individuality. And then how do you put that to the side to become a better conduit?
I mean, there's many different perspectives to look at that question and the answer to it. And so I'll do the best I can to give you my sense and feeling. I don't yeah, I feel in some kind of communities, there's a lot of really strong teachings around, dissolving your ego, letting go of your ego, releasing your ego. And as soon as you can tame your ego or let that go, then you receive this state of high state of consciousness, or, this sense of enlightenment. We kind of need a sense of the ego for our individuality to be a driving force, to create, to express, to sprinkle our magic and our love into this world. Now, where the ego plays a role of detachment from that creative expression is when it starts to get a sense that it is higher than a certain other kind of being on this planet, or it starts to act in kind of separation consciousness. It seems to think that it's, separate. And so we're not necessarily trying to get rid of the ego, but we're learning to integrate it in a way that we still have our individuality, because even the most celebrated, well-known spiritual mystics, psychics, and gurus on this planet still have their name to a book. They still have this sense of, their platforms. And if we really had dissolved the ego, we would be publishing books without our names on it. We wouldn't even need the praise. But there's still that sense of, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's still the sense of the little child that wants to kind of show the world, here's my work. Didn't I do well? Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this helping people? Even though it's all coming from a beautiful place. So we're not trying to discard the ego, but we're not trying to kind of bring it in its expanded glory either. It's finding that balance between the two. And when it comes to channeling, I've had the same experience of where, I woke up, I was bright-eyed to, what this all meant. And I went down the rabbit holes of all the online, messages and scriptures. There used to be specific websites that was just pages and pages and pages and pages of people's channeled transmissions. And I absorbed everything, thinking, well, this must be right because I don't have this connection. And as I started to learn more about my inner guidance system, my internal compass, my inner feeling, my inner state of calm and how I can show up in the world, as my intuition started to come on board and my psychic gifts started to kind of be reactivated again, these messages that I had hung on to every word started to feel distorted. They started to feel icky, actually. It started to kind of not feel good. So I actually turned everything off for a year and didn't read anything to do with spirituality. I just listened to my own intuition and sat with the land and listened to the trees and the animals and the blades of grass and the ants. And I really did just do that. And after that year, I felt a lot more grounded within my being. And then this kind of guidance that I would have known as channeling before, or kind of maybe leaving my body or bringing energy into my body, it felt integrated in me. And I no longer felt I needed to kind of go through these big kind of practices or rituals to tap into knowledge. It just became there. And so over the years, I've gone through these systems where there's like a clear knowing of energy that comes in, and it's not necessarily attached to a specific galactic being of light or an identity. It's just this clear transmission of love. And then sometimes there's a very specific energy that will come in. But as I was sharing with you before, like I'll sit with this for a while before I decide to continue making that connection and that communication, so that I have discernment. Right. And also I sit with things to make sure, okay, where have I perhaps filtered that based on my own ego's understanding and awareness? And as you were saying, there's always going to be a little bit of taintedness. And so this isn't to make people feel scared about connecting, but we're evolving right now as a collective consciousness on this planet. And the power is within us. It's within our cells atomically and subatomically. And so for me, I'm less interested about listening to people's channeled messages, as I'm more interested in how does it feel in your body? What are you experiencing in your body? Where is the connection to your body with the information that you're receiving outside of yourself? Do you feel resonant to that? Do you feel that for yourself? Because that's where the power is. And that to me is something that I'm very, very passionate and excited about right now, is really learning how to integrate these frequencies of energy that we have access to, but through us, not beyond us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were speaking about discernment and sitting with it. You sit with the energy that comes in, and in order to see how it feels, and then you use your discernment over it. Have you ever received energies and beings that didn't sit well,
Yeah, of course.
and they were trying to send you messages and like communicate with you?
Mm-hmm.
And then you basically just sit with it and tune into it, and then how do you sever that tie if you don't want to receive it?
Return to sender.
Hmm.
I call the highest available energies of light into my field, and all energies that are not here for my highest good to go home and evolve.
Mm.
And you can get a sense of things if you are being cornered into a sense of urgency or a sense of time. I always question that, because when you are in an expanded state of consciousness, you're in fourth dimensional awareness, and fourth dimensional awareness is time. And so time is past, present, and future experiencing itself simultaneously. And so if you're receiving a message of urgency, where is that urgency coming from? Where is our attachment to a third dimensional awareness of linear time? And so sometimes, yes, it's nice to receive guidance and messages like, it's really time to write your book, or it's really time to get these things going. But if you start to feel the sense of urgency that it doesn't feel good, right? When you're connecting to truth, it feels light. It will feel peaceful. It will feel harmonious to your nervous system. It will feel joyful. It will feel grounded, and it will feel easy to integrate. And I've had to let go of many souls over the years that have tried to channel for me or project their own emotional instability into my field, and especially when it came to time. And so we really are being called into self-mastery right now. And that is through discernment, it's through our own practice, and it's through the opening of that heart portal and keeping our energy field clear, energetic hygiene, good practices with that, that we can have a better connection to information that is supportive for our nervous systems, our physical bodies, our lives, the community, and the planet.
Yes. I feel that the first contact is a state of channeling. Us communicating with beings, receiving information, and I feel a lot of us are probably receiving information, aren't even aware of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In communication is unconscious of it. And what's happening now is like we're moving from living unconsciously to living consciously. And as we're doing that, we're realizing that we're still supported. We have guides and communication with us, and we're moving more into that. So the channeling state, that's why it's good to have this conversation about the ego, trusting channeling, because that's really the next level of our evolution. And I love what you said about sitting with the land. Like, people be like, meditate this long to channel, take this much time to do this, or all these workshops and what you need to do. But when you just sit with the land in complete presence in nature, and just allow yourself to experience everything as it is, that in itself is supporting your nervous system and your being, right, to start receiving this information.
Yeah. And, there's amazing, beautiful, multi-dimensional beings, aspects, fragments of ourselves that can drop into this energetic space with us to provide guidance, to offer us a nurturing and loving hand in support, and helping us understand deeper aspects of ourselves for healing. And
Mhm.
where the distortions start to come in is when it's kind of these projections of outside of us. It's like, how is this present for me, and how can I integrate this so that I can serve others at a deeper capacity? And so I work with a lot of ancestors and elders of the lands, different lands that when I travel, I feel like the different vibrational frequencies that come through as toning and sound healing. I work with different dimensional beings, and it's also about needing to keep my own channel clear through keeping my vessel clean, and having excellent energetic hygiene, right? So it's not to be scared of connecting into different energies, but it is to have discernment and to not blindly just give our power away because that's how we've kind of been taught.
What's the most out of the norm of what we would consider the norm energies that you channeled or that you received, like a being or some sort of energy?
Yeah, so a lot of the times for me, it comes through mostly as sound. And I'd say the most interesting sound vibration that came through was almost like a 10th or 11th dimensional frequency. I'm not going to say a specific being, but I'm just going to say a 10th or 11th frequency. And the sounds came through, sounded almost like this alien whale song. That's all I can describe it as. It's like, it sounds like a whale. If a whale was an alien, that's what it would sound like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a cosmic whale in
Like a
space.
cosmic whale. And,
Yeah.
a few years ago, I used to do a lot more toning in my different programs and things. But as the years have gone, I've felt more guided for people to express their own vocal range, their own ability of toning, because it's actually our own vocal cords that is activating our DNA. Like, our DNA responds to vibration of our sound, of our spoken word, and also what wants to come through energetically and multidimensionally. And so I've been more and more guided to allow people to express that for themselves.
That's beautiful.
That's
In your
why you may feel like a lot of people, when you listen to their light language, you may feel like, oh, this doesn't resonate. And then we can kind of think, oh, maybe this person doesn't resonate for me. It's not necessarily that. Sometimes the light language is for their own healing.
yeah, yeah. In your bio, and from what I know about you, you're sharing about how, because you speak very multidimensionally in the beginning, and then you speak about how it's coming up with practical ways in order to help shift the mental, spiritual, and emotional body, right? And you and I, we speak a lot, I think, about, the darkness and the shadow work, right? So I would love for you just to kind of go in that a bit, just like, what is the role of darkness and the shadow work, and then how do you make practical this multidimensional awareness?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very kind of multi-layered question and answer, that one, because dependent on which perspective of reality we're viewing through, we talk about like these distortions in this world, and the powers that be of enslaved humanity's consciousness. And so there's a sense of like doing our inner healing and releasing our trauma and doing our shadow work. It's to free ourselves from our own mind's limitation, and then we're no longer giving our power away to any energies outside of us, right? So when you get someone, for example, that keeps mind looping, no matter how much work they've been doing, but they still keep like in these like repeating patterns, it's probably because there's a program running in their subconscious system that's connecting to their nervous system that's not being released because it's attached to something. And so that's why that good energetic hygiene is, really important. And not to get too kind of, woo or galactic here, but it's good to kind of like be discerned of like, is there any parts of my body that's energetically not feeling mine? Where am I not fully owning and claiming my personal truth, my personal power? Because you can bring your power back to you. There is nothing outside of you that has any power over you when you are consciously aware of your own conscious system. So you can pull all of that energy back. And that's when, we talk about exiting the matrix. there's many layers of exiting the matrix system. And even though there's one layer that we may have integrated and let go of, then there's other kind of programs of the matrix system that's operating in the background that we can look at. So it's not a sense of feeling that we constantly have to be in shadow work or trauma work. We can integrate these things, and you'll know when something's integrated because it will no longer have an emotional charge to it. I can talk about my childhood with a smile on my face, and I explain things that have happened, and people are like, how are you still living? And I'm smiling because all I feel is pure love, right? And not bypassing my experiences. They were very real, but I have integrated the shadow parts of that. And I'm still a work in progress. I'm still discovering so much about my current personality and how it's manifested in who I am now based on these past experiences. But I'm not giving my power away to it anymore. I'm not letting it be the driving force of my experience, because I know as I continue to allow more consciousness into my being, I'm consciously aware of how I can create in this reality through harmony, through divinity, through unconditional love, through compassion, through self-acceptance, through self-awareness. These are the pieces that are like really potent and powerful for us.
It's beautifully said. And from what I'm getting from what you share here, actually, I love it because it's makes perfect sense, and it's really hasn't been said this way before. So what I'm getting is that you said free us from our own mind's limitation, right? And then what I received was the external darkness. Like, say that something happened to me as a child, that external darkness then reflects into the inner world, and that external thing is no longer there anymore, creating that darkness. But the shame, the pain, the guilt, there's a darkness inside of us, and it's all within our own minds and consciousness.
Yeah.
So even though external realities did something maybe to trigger it, the darkness that we're talking about, the evil that we're talking about, the pain that we're talking about, is all how we are in our own minds. So freeing ourselves from our mind's limitation will help us get out of those repeating patterns in our consciousness. Now, I'm curious, is there a ritual that you use in order to do that for yourself? Like a morning ritual, something like that? And is there a ritual for other people you can recommend? Or do you feel people need to go on their own journey and find their own way? How does that work? How do we get to a place to harmonize and create energetic hygiene for ourselves continuously?
Yeah, I mean, it's finding your own rhythm and finding what works for you. Like years ago, when I was moving through a lot, I had to have a very disciplined, dedicated practice. And I go through waves where I'm less needing to have that kind of discipline, and there's more of an ebb and flow with things. Like right now, I'm definitely more in a very, I mean, you know this, Neil, like we know each other very personally, like a very yin and restful space. So less kind of need to be in a disciplined state of, oh, I've got to make sure I meditate, or I've got to make sure I do my cards or my journaling. And very much in what feels good. But one thing that I've found really healing right now for me as a daily practice is just walking, to be honest with you, just getting out for a 30-minute walk, and strength training, working with my body, lifting weights, lifting heavy weights. Like all these things help me to feel sustained and nourished within my physical self, and then that helps with the mind. And having patience with yourself as well. Like it's okay to have days where you still feel like you're working through things,
Yeah.
But this is also part of the matrix trap, is feeling like we've always got to heal. Sometimes actually it's actually really powerful to take a break from this sense of feeling you've got to heal. You'll know when there's healing to be done, because you'll be slammed on the floor in fetal position, like feeling just so overwhelmed, like the whole world is caving in on you. That's the time to be getting into this really deeply, and other times as well. But tune in to what feels good for you. There's no right or wrong way of doing this, right? And never let anyone tell you what it is that they think that you need for your healing journey. Take back your power is the best advice that I could share.
When I first started getting into this work, or even before, when I was just learning about it and waking up, I was really attempting to look for modalities to help heal myself and heal myself from trauma, molestation as a child, and so many different things that have occurred to me. And I just kept, the more I became self-aware, the more I was aware of what needed to be healed, and then the more I kind of went down a downward spiral of like, I'm not healed yet. I'm not healed yet. When will I be healed? Or even like, I know now healing's not a destination, but it kind of, um, for quite a few years, disabled me from being what I would consider normal and social, because I just felt so down about, all the things that occurred to me, and I'd taken on so much shame from it that I couldn't shift into just like act like just being a regular person, you know. So to me, I don't know if you've experienced this or you've experienced it with your clients, but I would say it's like when self-awareness goes wrong. You know, it's like you're so self-aware, you're just on this constant battle to heal yourself and just not content or happy. That was me. I couldn't be content or happy because I realized, I was aware, oh, this is why I interact with that person, because of what happened to me when I was a child. I can't communicate with this person properly because when I had a child, I can't speak to people in this way because of what happened to me as a child. Have you experienced anything like that, or have you noticed that in the community? Like, and if so, how do we get to a place where we can be self-aware but don't go so deep that we are just stuck in this rut where we're always trying to heal ourselves and not content until we're out of it?
Yeah. So it's like the never-ending story of self-healing and personal growth, which can also become a bit of an addiction as
Hmm.
well. Where we become addicted to looking at our, we feel like, basically what I see is what happens is we become so addicted to understanding more about ourselves and the pain and trauma that we never really kind of gift ourselves moments to take breaks in between. But energetically, things will come up when you are ready to do that deep inner work. We don't have to go looking for that to dig into Pandora's box. When you have your spiritual awakening, Pandora's box is already opened, and it will start to become known to you at certain periods of your life when it is time to do that deep inner work. We can call it sometimes the dark night of the soul, but just being mindful of not getting too trapped in that, because that's also part of feeding the matrix system of fear, separation, and it's complicated to answer. So I'm just trying to do the best I can with, using the human languaging system. I can only give the awarenesses from my own experiences over the last kind of 15 years. But I do notice sometimes when there's certain periods of my life where it's really not flowing, and there seems to be, this attachment to, well, I've obviously got to heal, or there's more things there. And when I'm beating myself up, and then when the mind looping starts to happen, I go into observer. Right? Observer mode is when you're bringing your consciousness. So you have your becoming conscious of your consciousness. So you suddenly looking through your eyes and you're aware of your hands. So suddenly you're aware of your body, looking through your eyes. So you're looking at yourself, looking through your eyes. You bring your consciousness to the back of the head, and then you're in observer mode. So you're looking at yourself, looking at yourself. So when you do that, you're able to step out of the story and out of the consciousness of which is manifesting itself in your current state of awareness and the current physical manifestation. So you go into observer mode, and then you can start to ask yourself questions. Am I mind looping? What do I need to do to resolve this patterning? And how do I get to take back my power?
Hmm.
If there is any energies not here for the highest good, to go home and evolve. And so
Hmm.
healing is amazing. Healing your inner child, trauma work is great. PTSD is great. Get yourself a really great therapist, someone that is trained and has experience and that you trust. There's vulnerable spaces to be in. Have people to talk to, reach out for support, ask for help. And also remember to call back your energy and give yourself time with the process. Because sometimes when we're really in something, You know, the ego wants nothing but to kick and scream and get out of it. And sometimes it's in the surrendering of that experience that we can start to let go as well. But it's multi-layered. You know, we're complex humans living in a co-created reality and an abundance of this beautiful world with all these different beings and souls representing to us unresolved aspects of us. And then we want to have these galactic interdimensional experiences and be talking about the golden age, when really it's what's important in here.
Yeah. Well, without doing that inner work, that's the external world is a quantum reflection of the internal world, right? So without doing the energetic cleansing within, the more of us that get to that place where we're able to process all of this stuff that we've been holding on to, then our external will reflect that. And if miraculously, like say like half of the planet, let's say 75% of the planet, did the inner work tonight and tomorrow it will completely healed, the world would probably just shift in one night. We would just see like a sign in the sky, game over, and then the next chapter would begin. You know what I mean? And so like that's why it always comes down to we will not have that empowered world without doing that inner work, right? Yeah. So I know you've been going through some shifts lately, and your awareness has kind of expanded. And I would love for you just to speak about kind of just some revelations and realizations maybe that you've been having lately, and just yeah, what's been going on for you, what's relevant for you now, and what are you seeing in the collective when it comes to the healing work and the next step of our evolution?
Yeah, I'd say for me, much like what we were talking about at the beginning, Neil, is I go through phases where I feel so energetically connected to the storyline of the spiritual awakening. And then I go through phases where I just kind of take myself out of it and sit in the nothingness, the void, the stillness. And from that space, particularly recently, the last few weeks, I was very guided to actually turn any sense of connecting off. Like it's almost like I kind of like shut down the channel, shut down the higher chakras, to be really here, to be very present with the body, to move very slowly. And I just started to feel this kind of monotonous spell casting story that is in so many spiritual communities and online. And it's like this monotonous continued story of, the spiritual awakening and the golden age. And there's certain people with special powers here to fix and save humanity. And I just was feeling some of the distortions with these continued stories. It's like the story hasn't evolved or changed ever since the beginning of my awakening. And my personal journey these past few weeks was to switch everything off and just completely clear the decks. And this was part of that, the eclipse window that we had. I went to Mazatlan, which was one of the best viewing spots for the eclipse. And I was also guided to let go of any material ideas of manifestation, any goals or expectations that I've had of myself. Some of them had been years lurking around in the background and having this kind of blind faith that one day it would magically present itself to me. I had to completely clear the decks and sit in this utter 0 point void state of nothingness. And I try explaining this to people, and it was really interesting, their belief systems projected onto, oh, that's when you're going to do this thing, or that's when this is going to happen for you. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. There is absolutely nothing in the thought process of manifesting right now. I'm a completely blank slate of consciousness, and I've been moving very, very, very slowly in my external reality. I mean, ironically, I've been moving very fast because I've been traveling, but energetically, I've been moving very slowly and paying attention of what actually wants to come in without the control piece, what actually is aligned for me without me trying to hold on to things. And I had to go through this process because, as you know, I'm very deep on this journey. I've been on this journey for well over a decade. I mean, I think like 15 years at this point. This isn't a part-time hobby for me. Understanding my own consciousness and how I interact with this world is the top of my priority list. And so I do tend to go through these pretty extreme experiences so that I can integrate it and help others within their own experiences. And this is how I help my clients in my mentorship programs, is helping them to deconstruct anywhere that they've given their power away and not having that own clear knowing and the clarity within themselves. So it's been a very interesting few weeks for me personally. And then even in relation to how I've been showing up, like this is one of the first interviews. I've probably done like two interviews this year. That's it. Whereas last year I did probably like 20, 22. And it's just everything for me is moving in triple slow motion. And when my mind starts to kind of interfere with the process and want to kind of try to create too much, I am so fatigued in an instant. And I noticed that today. I was like trying to have this kind of old way of doing, and I had to literally lie down for 2 hours to reset my system, because it's not how I'm showing up any longer. And maybe there's a period of change for this, where there will be this energy of creativity and there'll be lots of flow. But right now there's like this, it's like I'm planting, it's like I'm not even planted the seeds. It's like in my consciousness, I've like dug up all the weeds, reset, and I've just sown the soil. It's almost like I've been caretaking the soil right now and just sitting in that peacefulness. So we'll see. I don't know what's next.
Yeah.
I'm in an interesting space though. But one thing I do know is I had to break away from this particular spell casting when it came to this same storyline that everyone has been having. And honestly, I'm very, very, very bored of the conversation. What inspires me and lights me up is, how is your body? Let's talk about your health. Let's talk about your connection to your heart. Let's talk about your emotional well-being. Let's talk about your creative expression. Let's talk about how you get to be inspiring others around you. And I've shared this in so many interviews. It's the micro steps, the micro moments, and disrupting the patterns in the field, because you go out there and everyone's freaking zombies. The way they're driving, the way we're connecting with people. Take a moment to get to know a stranger, get to know their story, listen to their heart. I'll offer them some food, invite them, take time to be with people, to connect with them, to say hello. And that's felt so much more rewarding and powerful than just keeping myself in a very stuck kind of like particular energy of, I don't know. It's been interesting. It's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. Yeah, I'm getting so much from it. Like, and as you're saying, there's a lot of things that come to my consciousness, but one is the whole concept of ascension versus presence, and ascension actually maybe meaning presence, but people thinking that it's this external future world. And a lot of these stories are stories about what the world will be, how it will look then, what disclosure will be like, what the golden age will be like, what we are going to create. And a lot of times it takes you away from the moment and connecting in this moment. And I've definitely been a part of that for so long.
Yeah.
That
and sorry to
no, go ahead.
But I'm sorry to interrupt. This is just coming through. Like, I want to challenge that for all of us, because it is time that we shifted the story and we evolved how we're showing up. And it is about being here, being present, and having the conversation now. And that's going to be part of breaking out of this matrix system, because that particular story, it's done. It's complete. It's done.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I love it. So one thing I told you about this, but it's actually on a bigger level now, is that so I am behind a computer most of the time. I'm working, creating. And even though I know this ascension presence thing, I'm pretty much behind here because I have a business to run, one, and then also because I'm like frantically typing away and creating a new reality in the future, and so I realized that's not healthy. So about a week and a half ago, as you know, had a little burnout situation at a co-working space here, and I was like, I went into freeze mode. I could not create another email, could not answer. So I took a whole week off, went to Hong Kong, China, didn't answer any emails. In China, did not have Gmail, so I couldn't check my emails there, which was pretty cool, I guess. And it was the first time I took like a full week off in forever, because I always check my emails and things like that. So what I've started doing now for the last few weeks beyond that was like I took a time off because I needed to just to be in the world, interact, travel with someone, have communications, wake up and go out and eat with that person and interact with the world, go and see different things. And I'm also doing cold approaches every day. So every day I'm walking in Thailand, I go up to 1 to 3 different random people as I'm walking, and I just spark up a conversation with them. Yesterday I was in the mall and somebody came in front of me and had this like really interesting drink. It was like, one of those Asian drinks, which was just like, looks like amazing. And I was like, looks great. And then for 30 minutes, we just started having a conversation about her drink and her life, what she does. And I left that conversation feeling so good, so connected, you know? And so and I'm doing this consciously, like almost like I'm a 5-year-old kid learning how to walk because I've spent so much time behind this computer interacting with the world on this level for years now that I'm realizing that what really is important, the connection, reaching out to people, seeing how people are doing and having a conversation. I wasn't doing that enough in my life, right? So now it's like a part of, it's a part of what I really want to start incorporating and integrating as a daily practice as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I also loved how you said switch everything off. And what I got from that was when you switch everything off, like that, what I just gave you was a kind of an example where I switched off this kind of just to work for a while. And when you switch things off, even if it's like your phone, I just deleted a bunch of apps on my phone, so I don't interact with them anymore. I just downloaded a blocker for my computer where websites that distract me and take my energy, I blocked and I can't even access for 5 months. Okay.
Amazing.
I'm doing all these things because I'm realizing that the system is created in a way to distract us and to fragment our consciousness, right?
Yes.
And by doing that, it becomes harder to be present. And when it becomes harder to be present, it becomes harder to listen to yourself
Yeah.
and what's going on within you, how you feel, right? So as we're closing out here, I would love for you just to share, some tools and what it really means to listen to yourself. And why it's important. Kind of also like listen to yourself or feel the way you feel. Listen to how you feel.
Yeah, I feel so many become so distraught with indecision and fear around making the wrong choices in their life, especially as you become more awake. And as you were sharing, Neil, we're kind of, when you become aware of, something that needs healing, it can highlight every other aspect as well. And so it's kind of a similar thing of then when we start feeling into action steps in our lives. And a big one that I see with clients and so many people, if I had $1 for every time somebody wanted to check in with me about what their purpose was. And, I have a very different take on purpose. And, a lot of people get the sense of purpose of their life must be not in alignment because they're not doing this specific spiritual gift to help and save and solve humanity's issues. And this is part of this kind of storyline that's keeping people trapped in a certain state of consciousness as well. And, purpose is creative expression. It's your joy. It's your love. It's that dream. It's that thing that keeps you inspired in spirit. And yeah, sometimes it can be connected to a specific spiritual gift that may come through for you, which is beautiful. But it also may be the inspiration of something else. It doesn't have to just be something that is that. And we know deep down what it is that we desire and that we feel for ourselves. And sometimes there can be an ego attachment to that, and sometimes it can just be very pure and sweet and innocent. And distinguishing what the truth is in that is to create space for energetic inquiry, and also to not be afraid to take some action, and allow that action to maybe not be the right action, but at least there's some action and there's some energy flowing forwards. I feel like a lot of us have become so worried about manifesting the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. Life is messy. It doesn't quite work like that. It helps when we actually just take some action steps forward and, oh, yeah, that wasn't the best thing. I'll give you an example. I spent quite a long time looking for an apartment in Mexico. I finally found one, and my commitment was to myself was to keep it from until November. And it wasn't until I got into the space and I had been there for a few weeks that I felt, actually, this isn't my highest alignment to be here this long. And even though I'd committed to staying there until November, from making that decision and moving forwards with that experience, I was then able to understand, okay, actually, this isn't feeling good. And so I get to change that. And so listen to self, be an energetic inquiry, sit with things, see how it feels in the body. Don't be afraid to take some action. And sometimes even when you take the action, you'll feel something in alignment or harmonized with the body, or you won't. And so get to know your nervous system, and that will give you some really strong telltale signs as well. And it's also really good to work with people. It's really good to work with dedicated healers, psychic mystics, gurus, people that have a good level of ability to space hold for you, to help you come to those decisions for yourself as well, but to not take the power away and to tell you exactly what to do, but to help you learn some of those tools and to navigate. And, you know, this is what I've done with my clients for years. I'm not telling them, you know, even though someone asks me, you know, is this the right partner for me? And I may be seeing the timeline, who am I to tell them yes or no? Because we have free will when we're conscious of our consciousness. And sometimes the experience adds a depth and richness that we may not have had we not taken an action and move forward. And so let yourself live life without being worried about making the wrong decisions as well is a really big part of starting to understand the intuition. And as you connect more deeply with your body and the way you relate to your body, and a lot of people, men and women, quite frankly, you're not connected to your bodies. You have insecurities around your bodies, you have judgments around your bodies, and it's the self-love piece that gets to integrate that part, and your body can start to operate as it's meant, as it's designed to, because it will give you signs, right? You know, you've ever spoken to someone and you've suddenly felt your body shutting down, right? That's an indication that that conversation isn't supportive for you, right? You've ever thought about something and you've got that little knot in your stomach or like little butterflies. Maybe there's an excitement of energy. So go into the inquiry of it and spend time with this. You know, most of us expect to just have this stuff dialed in the first time we try it, and then when we don't, you know, the insecurity comes in. Oh, you know, I knew I was never very good at this. Well, just practice micro steps, micro moments, little moments every day, just tapping in, connecting in.
You know, this world is the program, and you've mentioned this a few times, of productivity, action, doing. Even when you took space, people were projecting on you, well, this is what's going to happen next, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because even like when I was going through some troubling things in my life, or really in the deep healing process, I was coming up with a plan of how many days in a row I will meditate and which ones I'll do until when, so that I could be at this level after it, and almost like speeding through every meditation to get to that. And it was more about me being accomplished after the 100th day than it was about being present in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so it's so contradictory, right? And the only way is this, here we go again, like the only way you'll get to that promised land is by being patient in the moment. And you said, let yourself live life without being worried if you make the wrong decision, you know? And so it's that coupled with the non-judgment of yourself as you're going through life, right?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you skip a day of an intention that you had, just start again the next day.
Yeah.
Like you had this like, and I see this a lot as well. Like, okay, I'm going to meditate every day for like 21 days. And you're right. Then there's this future project. Then I'll be in a high frequency. And then there's a couple of days that are skipped. Then the saboteur comes in, and then the whole thing blows up, and then, they don't finish. Like, I run these 21-day accelerators. I started it 3 years ago because I just was like, how can I help people have momentum to connect to their intuition? What are some of the things that I can help them with to kind of do that over 21 days? And then also, how can I create space to help people when they miss a day or they don't have as much time as they wanted to? This is also helping to break down some of those, belief systems around like, it's got to be, 10 hours a day on the top of a mountain in Nepal, otherwise you don't get it. So it's like helping people accountability and then helping people kind of deprogram the accountability as well. It's like both at the same time. So those programs are so powerful. I haven't run one for a while. I really want to run one quite soon. I'm just kind of like waiting for the inspiration of the date, but I have to be ready to hold that as well, so but yeah, it's like just having some grace,
Yeah.
some grace with
So
it.
Zoe, I'd love for you, and I already kind of know the answer, to be honest. Like, I was gonna say, what will you be presenting in Glastonbury? But I know the answer, but maybe you want to tune into how your process is when you get into these experiences and what you feel you'll be bringing
what
forward.
is the answer? I'd love for you to just share with me.
What was I gonna say?
Yeah, what is the
Well, yeah,
answer?
I was gonna say that you don't know. It's just gonna happen. It's just gonna
Yeah.
it's just gonna happen at that moment.
I was like, wait,
You have no idea.
did I send you something in a previous timeline ago or something? I'm like, no, I don't think I did. Yes, I'm
No,
gonna be
no.
in flow. I mean, Glastonbury is one of my homes. I'm very connected to the land there. I have been ever since I was a baby. And I've been guiding people to Glastonbury my whole life. And I won't tell you my age, but yeah, since I was a very, very young whippersnapper. And so it's just such an honor to speak there at your conference. It was so beautiful last year. It's so much more than a conference. It's an energetic exchange of love, of community, of connection, of co-creation, of inspiration, of powerful conversations, of meeting beautiful people that, we wouldn't have normally got to meet. And it's definitely more than a conference. And you're on the land, you're on the ley lines, you get to drink the spring water. Every single person that I've met that have come to Glastonbury have always left with a little bit of extra sparkle in themselves and their auras, and a little bit of an extra kind of little leprechaun hop or an elf hop or something.
Yeah.
And, Neil has put together a really amazing, few days that's not just, sat in a room listening to us all talk about lots of amazing stuff, but there's also some land walks as well with some very gifted facilitators. And so if you are thinking of joining us, it's just going to be such a transformational experience, really great opportunity to meet lots of us in person and have your own journey and your own experiencing connecting to the land there. I mean, the land, if you did nothing else and just came to Glastonbury, come to the conference as an excuse, of course, but just come to the land and just sit and be and gift something to the land and let the land open up to you in the wealth of knowledge, of ancient mysteries, of just all of it. And I've buried lots of crystals all over as well over the years, and bring some spending money because there's loads of amazing shops for all the beautiful things, and you will feel like a magpie because everything is beautifully sparkly and attractive, and incredible crystal stores and sound healing stores and clove stores. And it's just going to be a beautiful experience. And I'm really excited to come back again. So, and yes, what am I going to be speaking about? I'm definitely going to lead us through some type of transmission. And I'm going to feel into it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And this is
never
gonna be,
can.
I know, which is perfect because I love how we have everything planned, presentations, freestyle talks, transmissions,
I'm going to
activations.
freestyle the divine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like the boy who cried wolf in regards to saying that every event is the best event. But this one is really unique because it just combines all types of productions that we do into one experience. You know, it combines meditative breathwork kind of experiences, music, it combines tours and retreats, you know. So it's all there within six days is the whole thing. If you're gonna be there for the pre-tour, the 3-day conference, the post-conference workshops, the tour to the ancient stone circles of Avebury. You know, you can come for the 6 days and get 6-day pass on Ascension, Glastonbury.com, or you can come for the 3 days, you know. So we have different types of packages based on what you want to experience. But I want to just show, and if you want to just stick around for a bit, so I want to show some images of Kings Abbey, Chalice Wells, and White Springs. I'd love for you to speak because I visited them a few times, but you visited them through your whole life, you know. So I'd love for you to share kind of like your connection to these areas. So,
Sure.
and I'll share it, and then you can kind of just talk about it.
Okay.
So first, this is the King's Abbey.
So it's interesting with the Abbey is probably the least connected that I have to this.
Yeah,
So
I
probably not the
figured. No, I figured. Because this is straight up Christian, you know what I mean? But it's got the connection to King Arthur.
Yeah, I mean, the Abbey. It's a very powerful energy field there, and I've obviously visited the Abbey many, many times. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space, and it's a really amazing space to kind of celebrate and connect to Mary Magdalene and the priestess energy in the Rose lineage. Supposedly it has King Arthur buried there. I don't actually believe that he's buried there, but it's nice to kind of see the head, the headstone, and connect to his energy. And
Right.
the church that you're looking at there on the bottom, I think it was Joseph of Amarath, is it, that was buried at the bottom?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that's a really powerful vortex when you kind of just like drop in there. You kind of you can't see it on the picture here, but you go downstairs and you connect, which is it's very, very potent energy.
And he was the uncle of Yeshua, which is a
Yeah,
whole story that's untold. So the Christianity in this area is unique compared to the Christianity and the Roman Empire. And supposedly Christianity started here before the Roman Empire even came,
yeah,
and they kind of broke away from that to hold in the truths of the divine feminine, the Mary Magdalene energy, Yeshua's uncle,
yeah,
and supposedly Mary Magdalene was even there at one point.
yeah.
Those are some of the stories.
And
We've heard.
Oliver William Huntley
Yeah,
is one of the facilitators that's going to do land. You're
the
going to
tour.
tour. And so he is very masterful in the history of the Abbey, and so it will be it's amazing to go with him and have his wealth and knowledge
Yes.
and
And
everything.
then let's move on to these ones.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
with
this
yeah,
is
the
the
Chalice Wells.
Chalice Wells meditation garden. I love this garden. It's literally not changed in my whole entire life. And so it has the red spring well running through the garden, which represents the different stages of the feminine. The lion's head here is where you can actually drink the water, and it's rich in iron, and it's meant to represent the flow of the feminine menstrual cycle. And the garden itself is very peaceful. You have the Vesica Pisces. You have different walkways and spaces to sit and contemplate and be. And yeah, they have a really beautiful gift store there as well, where they actually make different like elixirs that you can add into water, and they use some of the energy from the grandmother well here. And it's just a very, very beautiful place to be. And certain times of the year they have the different solstices, and so they have like celebrations there and fires and stuff.
And do you know the history of this? Like, was this built, or was there something there originally, and then they built this whole thing around it?
Yes, so the photo that you're looking at now, so this is the White Spring, which is opposite. And originally this was the White Spring here. How these waterfall
So this
bowls.
is a different place, everybody. This is the
Yes,
third one.
the White Spring next door to the Chalice Wells. And you're not meant to show these photos, actually. I don't know why that photo shouldn't be on there. Thank you. So this used to be a natural rock formated waterfall, And then over the years, then they built this water tank, which is that building that you saw if you go back up to here. Yeah, that one. And so it was a water tank that housed water for the city. And then it was derelict for years. And then it reopened as a cafe. And then it closed down. And then they reopened it as a sacred space for the White Spring. So the White Spring, which is here, and the Red Spring and the Chalice Wells are the only two spring wells in England that merge underneath the ground. So it's like the merging of the feminine and masculine energies. And I'm pretty sure it's the Red Spring that's apparently connected all the way to Mount Shasta through the underneath the sea. And so you can go, like, you can drink the water here. There's a little water fountain, and then you can go inside, and they have a bathing pool which you can bathe in. Please don't show the photo though, because they're not meant to have any photos inside, because it is a very, very
super sacred place.
Yeah, I'm sad that there is a photo actually, but it's beautiful. They have these candles. It's the most amazing place for toning and to open up your throat chakra, and it's very much encouraged that you get to tone. They also now have introduced once a day an hour of silence in there as well, which is also really, really beautiful, because sometimes it can get a bit funky. Glastonbury is funky within it. You never know on any particular day. It's a beautiful melting pot of interesting witches and warlocks and wizards and druids and tourists and this person and that person. So the White Spring in particular is a beautiful space. And then part of the tour with the Glastonbury retreat is private access to the White Spring, which is really powerful. It's very hard to get access to it privately unless it's through a group. So Oliver will have a tour as part of the tour that you'll get to go into the White Spring. So I highly recommend the tour as well.
Yeah, and all of those locations are within 2 to 5 minutes walk from where our conference is. Okay. So not only are we going to be, that's why it's just so incredible. Like, we have breaks through the day. So if you don't come on the tour on Thursday, you can go and just stop by at any point at any of these places on your breaks. You can go and take your lunch to the King Arthur's Abbey and experience it, be in this energy. And on Thursday, so here's the website again, ascensionglastonbury.com. Show you the speakers one more time. We have about 23 speakers here. We're doing so much. Of course, Zoe's going to be giving us a transmission that she has no idea right now what it's going to be. But from my experiences, are going to be amazing. Laura Eisenhower is going to be doing some galactic history. Tim Tactics is going to be talking about 70 plus years of unacknowledged extraterrestrial contacts and the different beings that different governments around the world have been in communication with. Magenta Pixie will be bringing in some dragon energy. Maria Wheatley is next level. She is actually one of the foremost researchers of the Avery and Glastonbury area, has many books on it, and has actually zoomed out of the whole Glastonbury area in the greater Avebury and realized that the whole entire area from some ancient culture was built according to the zodiacs, and she aligns it up with the stars. So her presentation is going to be next level. Oliver Huntley right here is going to be the one that's going to be taking us on the tour. And then many other speakers, Mars Anomalies with Ananda. And I'll just show you here the different types of ticket options we have. So 3-day conference pass, right? Come for the conference. VIP pass, you come for the Thursday tour and the 3-day conference. VIP all-inclusive will be basically the tour, meet and greet, speaker meet and greet on Thursday, 3 days of the conference and post-conference workshops, and then another tour at the end, just the 6 days. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're taking it to a whole new level this year. Last year was we didn't have enough seats. We had to return some tickets because we didn't have enough seats. So this year we got a little bigger venue, and we got a nicer venue with air conditioning. Last year we didn't have AC and it was hot inside, but it's going to be fun. So hope to see some of you guys there. AscensionGlastonbury.com. Okay. And if you can't attend live, you can attend the live stream.
Amazing.
All right. So Zoe, as we close out, I would love for you to share with people about your work. Are you still taking on clients? How can people work with you if they want to go deeper into this awareness and into their own awareness?
Thank you. So the best thing to do is email me, which is info@zoedavenport.com. Or you can visit my website and sign up for a free 2-hour masterclass on clearing subconscious programming using diamond light energy. So that's zoedavenport.com. So email is info@zoedavenport.com, website zoedavenport.com. And my Instagram is I am Zoe Davenport as well. So I'm starting to post some more stories and some content there of when I'm launching different programs. And I have some space for mentorship clients right now. And I'm going to be bringing out the 21-day program probably in the next kind of 2 or 3 weeks as well. So, and
Beautiful.
I run those
So,
times a year.
So I'm sorry, say that again, Zoe.
I run those a couple of times a year. And if any of you are in LA and you're watching this recording before the 15th of June, I'm actually going to be putting something together here. So reach out to me.
Yeah, so let's second that real quick. June 15th, Zoe's doing what area? Marina Del Rey, is it?
Yeah, in LA. So the best thing to do is send me an email and then we can discuss.
Yeah, she's doing an intimate experience there. It's going to be very powerful. And she's not from LA. She's just there for a few weeks. So she's doing this impromptu experience event for whoever wants to come. And as I shared earlier in this, I have the opportunity to be like, Zoe's one of my best friends. And because of that, I get to just experience this through osmosis, just being around her really has helped me out. So if you guys want to go deeper into your own conscious, she has the portal to ascension seal. We endorse Zoe Davenport here at Portal to Ascension, guys.
Thank you.
Zoe, I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I just love you. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. We'll be live again in a couple of days. So have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody, and see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.